In this video, I'm going to show you how to set challenging goals with lean management. Hi, my name is Christian Wurzelball. I support the textile service industry with management training, Neuen Textile Service 4.0 and practical hints that you can implement right away. Now I have a very practical video, and it's something really from my heart, and stay tuned because there will be some really tangible hints at the end. So I have some history with lean management. I think there is a video also on the channel about it. And so it started when I visited the plant of Porsche, the car manufacturer, in I think 95. And then I tried to implement it myself, and it wasn't very successful. And then at the end, we implemented lean management in 2008 in the company, or at least we started to do it. And it was in many parts a real big success. And there are some metrics that I want to show you today. And you have to know where to pull the levers, and in this case, the right levers, and this is the content of this video. So let's go into it. So it's about quality first. So when you have a process has results, and bad processes have bad results, and improved processes have better results. So there is nothing like there is no best process. It's always something to improve. But it's important that 90%, 85%, 90% of the quality is not the employee, it's the processes that you have, the systems that you have in place. So, and in this case, it's about improving the quality of the processes. And just focusing on the costs does not improve the processes, and just exhort your people doesn't improve anything. So it's about improving quality, and it's not just quality, it's quality and cost. So when you look at Deming, one moment, this guy here, he is basically the godfather of lean management in Japan, and he always talks about quality and cost. It's important because on the one hand, the customer wants quality, he wants to have the best product, the best service, but you also need to be cost efficient because it also wants to pay less and less price. And you need to be competitive and stay in business, and do it for the long run. So costs are as important as quality. But the point is on what to focus first, and it's quality, especially quality of the processes. So, and lean management is all about eliminating waste. So when you have the total number of hours spent in a plant or in an enterprise, then a part of this is basically value added. So you have a value added to the customer. But the point is actually when you really focus what adds value to the customer, then it's actually not the majority. So I have to disappoint you, but this is even a good news, that the real value added that you provide to the customer is just a small fraction of the hours that you spend, because there is so much waste around, and that's actually the opportunity. So you have value added, and then you have waste. So quite lots of waste, and now the name of the game is actually to eliminate waste. So it's not about even improving the value-added function, it's actually reducing waste. And the waste is defined in lean management with 7 different kinds of waste. So on the one hand, it's defects, it's failures, it's complaints, it's something went wrong. It's overproduction, and especially in a laundry business, it happens all the time. For instance, that the washer washes too much linen and you have everything piled up before the ironer or whatever. So overproduction is bad, and if you have a rental business, for instance, purchasing too much is also bad. So overproduction is actually the mother of all waste, as for lean management. And then you have waiting, people waiting for a machine, people waiting for a boss to make a decision, people waiting all over the place. And when you go to the plant with open eyes, then you see many people waiting for something, or maybe doing something in order not to be perceived as waiting. And then transportation. When you move goods around in a plant, when you transport linen from one machine to the other, the customer doesn't pay for it. So you need to do it, of course, because otherwise you would not be able to to organize the plant. But you need to do it in the least possible way. So transportation itself is waste. Movement of people, in this case we're talking people, is also waste. So everything that doesn't contribute to the value of the product is waste. Inventory is waste because the customer only wants the product that he needs for his purpose and not the excess inventory that is standing around somewhere, whether it's in the plant or an inventory of new linen or new garments, whatever. And then you have extra processing, which is also an interesting type of waste. So when you do more as the customer actually asks for. So if you provide him with, if you put more work into a process than it's actually needed. So it's maybe even too much quality that is not needed and not paid for. So you need to define also what the customer wants and do not do any extra processing. So yeah, maybe this is also something that we in the German-speaking area are known for, but I'm sure that many companies are having waste there. Yeah, so that's waste, and then there is a picture actually when you have a lake, and in this lake you have some structures on the ground of the lake, and then you have a water level. So and this water level makes everything level. So you have a water level, and this water level makes a nice even lake, and the sun reflects and everything is romantic. So that's nice. But you might have, for instance, down here, I don't know, a wreckage of a car. Come on. And you have maybe some type of waste, whatever. But actually you don't see it. So especially when the water level is so high that you don't see the waste down there, then it's nice. You can enjoy the water. It's nice. The point of lean management is that you want to improve. So what you do is that you reduce the water level. So you take out water and reduce the water level, and all of a sudden you see the waste that is at the ground of the lake. So when you reduce water level, it's a picture for too much inventory at hand in the work in progress, inventory in the on the shop floor. When you decrease inventory, then all of a sudden you see waste. So it can be that, for instance, when you have less inventory in the plant, that all of a sudden you realize that the machines are not as stable as they should be, or that the employees are not trained as they should be trained, or that you have not the best flow of goods. So when you reduce the amount of linen, in this case, or garments, uniforms in a plant, then you all of a sudden run into problems. And in this case, you should rejoice about problems. And so every problem is basically a treasure that when you eliminate this waste here, that everything becomes cleaner and more efficient. That's basically the picture of the idea. And you have the idea of Kanban in Toyota. So Toyota basically has assembly lines. Yeah. So you have in car manufacturing, you have assembly lines, and you have different stations that have different tasks. And say, I don't know, every 180 seconds you move the car from one station to the other. So that's an assembly line. And what you basically have, you have processes that feed these assembly lines. So for instance, you have here a guy who is in charge for assembling tires to the car. And so he gets some cages, for instance, where you have tires on these cages, and in this cage, yeah. Say, I don't know, 20 tires for each cage, and then you have, in this case, 6 cages as a buffer before the manufacturing line, so that he does not run out of tires. And the point is, each cage has basically a card, and this card is unique. So it's one unique card, and this card is called Kanban. And Kanban is just the English word, is just the Japanese word for card. So it's basically a card. So you have a card on this cage, and so this represents actually a Kanban. Yeah. So this cage is a Kanban, and what you're doing in this case is that you are not, you only, so this guy here, for instance, who puts tires onto these cages, can only put a tire onto this cage if a cage is empty. So this helps to eliminate overproduction, because if there is no empty cage, he is not allowed to overproduce tires in this case. So this is nice, and this prohibits overproduction, which is one of the main objectives of Kanban. But the point is, when you make now a lean workshop and you want to improve this process, then you make, for instance, the objective to reduce 3 of these cages. So you reduce the number of cages by half, for instance, in this case, and you then need to improve also the process, because you need to improve the process, because then all of a sudden, for instance, if there is something wrong with the tires, that not every tire is okay, then you need to work on the quality of the tires, because you cannot afford to have, for instance, a broken cage here because you have only 3 cages left. So you are forced to improve quality, and you are forced to reduce waste in this case. So by reducing the number of the inventory, in this case, cages of tires, you force yourself to improve quality, because otherwise the process is not stable enough, and you force yourself to reduce waste, and then as a result you also reduce cost, so you increase productivity. So that's basically the idea of Kanban. So Kanban is just a function in order to reduce the inventory in the production lanes. And so there is a formula, and this formula is basically that if you reduce 50% of inventory, say 50%, 70%, depends on whom you talk to, let's make it 50% less inventory, then you are able to improve quality by at least 1 category, maybe 2 categories. So if you, for instance, have, I don't know, you have maybe like, let's make it red. You have 10 frustrated customers from your customer survey, then, and say it's 10, then let's go down to 1, one frustrated customer, or 1 customer that complains. So you need to improve the quality by 1 category, or you take it even further, that even this customer is at least somewhat satisfied. So, or you eliminate rewash by a big time and so on. So you need to improve quality, but not just a little bit, really take it to the next level, and also increase productivity. So if you reduce inventory, you should be able to increase productivity at least by 10%, probably by 20%, in some cases even more. So and in many workshops you would start with the idea of reducing inventory, and this reduction of inventory leads to the improvement of quality and leads to the improvement of the processes and increase in productivity. So that's the formula basically. And when you have not started with lean management yet, then I'm so bold to say that it's always possible to increase productivity by 10 to 20% and to increase quality substantially for your customers and get a much more stable operation. And it's always possible to decrease inventory by 50%. So I've done it many times, and maybe in the next, right now I'm a little bit handicapped with COVID-19, but in the next few weeks I will also show it in a video with a live example. So that's the idea. And if you're interested and if you're an entrepreneur, then there's a link down in the description, and you can apply for a strategy session with myself, and we'll take it from there. We'll see whether we have been made for each other, and whether I can help and support you. And if you want to know more, there is also a link to subscribe to the newsletter, and we can then I'm posting an email, sending an email once a week, plus minus, and it's always very valuable, so I get new subscribers and almost lose none. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up, it's good for the algorithm, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see us in the next video. Bye bye.